If you hear weird noises in the background, my dog Cooper is literally right here playing with his Kong. He had to choose like the toy that makes a lot of noise. At least it's not a squeaky toy though. Then I wouldn't even be able to do this video. But today I'm going to be doing a wrap up, and I had originally every intention to do a January and February combined wrap up and just kind of get it done. But I cannot even fathom the idea of talking about 13 books right now. So we're just going to do January in this video. I read a total of 7 books in January, and then I'll do February when I'm feeling more up to it at some point. But today, yes, I'm going to talk about all the books that I read in January. I'm going to try to keep it quick and concise. If this is not your first video, you know that's not really a thing for me, but I'm going to try my best to keep it as concise as possible. So let's just jump right into my January books. So the first 2 books that I finished in January were actually carryovers from December. They were holiday books. The first one was Lovelight Farms by B.K. Borison. I gave this book 4 stars. This is a kind of like holiday themed romance about who are the characters. It is now mid-March, so do I remember what I read 2 months ago? Not really. What is her name? Stella. Our main character, Stella, owns a Christmas tree farm and it's been struggling, so she figured if she can get attention from this big Instagram influencer, she might be able to turn the farm around and get out of the red. And this influencer seems to trend towards featuring businesses that have a strong, like, relationship story to go along with them, I think it was. So she lied and said that she was in a relationship and she started this farm with her best friend Luca. So it's kind of like fake dating. Well, not kind of like, it is fake dating, and it's a holiday read. It was very cozy and romantic. I enjoyed it. The third act conflict wasn't like great, but it was very short-lived, so it didn't really hamper my enjoyment of this book. And yeah, like I said, 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. Maybe pick it up next Christmas. And the next one that I finished, which was a carryover from December, was A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. This book I gave 3 stars. It was okay. So let me see. Let's see if I can remember. We have an adult film actress, and she, for reasons, gets cast in like a Hallmark Channel-esque Christmas movie with another, like with a guy who's trying to repair his reputation. He was in a boy band, there was some sort of scandal, and he is trying to repair his reputation. And the name Sierra Simone, if you're familiar with romance, should indicate to you that this is quite the spicy book. And dare I say, it was maybe just like a little too spicy for me. It was a little more than I prefer in my romance books. But like the story was fun, and I did enjoy like the sex positive nature of the book. But I mean, it wasn't really my favorite. And I know it's like a series or duology. Like there's another book in the same world or whatever, but I don't know that I would pick it up just because, again, it was a little too much for me. Hi. 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 Good boy. Do you want to say hi? Do you want to say hi? Do you? Oh. Yes, hi. You're such a good boy. Oh. Can I finish filming my video and then I'll give you all the attention, I promise. Good boy. Good boy. Yes. The next book that I finished was Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. This is the second book in the Empyrean series. The first one being, of course, Fourth Wing. This book, I gave it 3 stars, and hi. I gave it 3 stars, and honestly, I was just bored for the whole first half of this book. And then once things started kind of amping up a little towards the end, I just didn't care anymore. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about what was happening in the story. And just in general, I wasn't into the romance. So what happened with this book? Oh yeah, you like that, huh? Are you licking the books? Oh, you were biting the books. You know we don't bite books in this house. So what I thought was going to happen with the romance did happen with the romance. The first book I was interested in because I thought it was hate to love, or like enemies to lovers, but considering the scope of the conflict that would make it enemies to lovers, it was not really. They got together very fast for the circumstances, and then it was just very, I don't want to say insta love, but like they fell in love like as soon as they decided they liked each other, they were in love. Do you know what I mean? And I thought maybe there would be something that would cause another conflict with them and that would continue in this book, but in this book there was miscommunication and I didn't like it. I'm probably going to be DNFing the series. I was already a little bit unsure after Fourth Wing. But I mean, basically all the same problems still existed in this book, and then also the romance was not something that was interesting to me. So yeah, I think that is going to do it for me and the Empyrean series, which is fine. There are plenty of people that love it, they can enjoy it, and they will have extra copies that they don't have to fight me for. Not that they would fight me for them anyway. I don't know what I'm saying. That's it for me. Like, everybody else can have the special editions and everything that goes along with that series. The next book I finished was Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, and this one I gave 4.5 stars. I loved this. I loved the entire trilogy. I have yet to pick up The Hobbit, but I am going to, for sure, because I just had such a fun time in this world. I don't know... Okay, let's be honest. I filmed a lot of vlog clips and then just never edited them together and put the vlogs up on my channel. So I don't actually know if I've said this on this channel before, but I loved this book because there is something to be said about going into an epic fantasy world, already knowing all the characters, knowing the world, and just being able to like sit back and enjoy the story. And that's what this was for me. It was very cozy. I really enjoyed my time with it. The only thing about this book that kind of threw me off was at the end, like the whole ending, the very end of this book felt like a different book. If you've read it, you probably know what I mean. I don't want to spoil anything. I mean, I don't know if you can even really spoil Lord of the Rings anymore, but I would say like the last like 25% of this book, like the story was wrapping up and I was like, why is there still so much to read? And it turns out it's because there was this whole random like political seeming like social commentary sort of thing with the hobbits that was not something I was familiar with. So that was a little bit jarring at the end. You know, oh yay, the story is complete, everything is done. And then this happened and I was like, what? But why? So, I mean, overall, great experience. The end was just a little weird for me. Next, I read Wayward by Amelia Hart. I gave this book 2 stars, and I'm just gonna read you like what I actually wrote in my reading journal. I said, bad vibes only. Lots of angry, feminist-esque man hate. All the men were evil, and all the women had huge traumatic things happen. Didn't even give the witchy nature vibes I wanted. Writing was easy to read, though. So, I liked how quick it read, but what was even the point of this book? See, this is my problem. This is why it ended up getting 2 stars. So in Wayward, you're following 3 perspectives of 3 women that are in the same family. One is current day, one is in the 1940s, and one is in the 1600s. The one in the 1600s is being accused of being a witch, and the one in the 1940s, I don't really know what her deal was, but again, traumatic things happen to every woman in this book. The one in present day is trying to escape an abusive relationship. So all these horrible things were happening to the women in this book, and I didn't have a clear picture of why. And then like I said, every man in this book was evil. Like there wasn't a single man that was doing anything redeemable, really. And it just wasn't a good time for me. Like, judging by the cover of the book and like the synopsis of the book, I thought I was going to get some cool nature witchy vibes, and I didn't even really get that. So it wasn't for me. I know some people really enjoyed this book, but I've also heard some people had very similar opinions to me. It just wasn't for me. If you're really into the I can't even say if you're really into the witchy vibes, you should read it, because there were no witchy vibes in my opinion. There were witches, but there were no vibes. So I didn't enjoy it. If it's your favorite book, I'm sorry. Never take what I say in any form of like offense to you if this is like one of your favorite books. It just didn't work for me, so I ended up giving it 2 stars. The next book that I finished was also a carryover that I forgot about, but it was actually a carryover from like way earlier last year. I ended up finishing it, and that was Role Playing by Kathy Yardley. This was a book about okay, so it was sold to me as like middle-aged gamers romance, but the thing about it was, yes, the characters were in their late 40s and 50s, but they acted the same as like 20 somethings. Like the same book could have been written about 20 somethings and it would have been exactly the same. Nothing would have had to change really. So I don't know. It was fun and it was cute, but it wasn't like anything that's really gonna stick with me for too long. There was some LGBTQIA plus rep in this book, which is always appreciated, do not get me wrong, but it was done in a way that was a little bit heavy-handed. And maybe that's where the characters being the ages they were made a little bit more sense, because it was almost like the one character was really explaining it to the other character, but the other character was the one that was experiencing it. So the fact that he didn't know anything about it seemed a little weird to me, I guess. I don't know. The whole thing, like, it just took up a whole big portion of the middle of the book, and it was just, it seemed heavy-handed to me. Especially, like, one of the things that they were talking about was him potentially being demisexual or, like, asexual. And I don't know, I feel like they were trying to, like, I feel like Kathy Yardley was almost trying to explain it to herself in the way she was writing about it. Like, she was just, like, regurgitating every single fact that she had looked up online and found out about demisexual people. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know if I'm being clear. But I guess basically what I'm trying to say is LGBTQIA plus rep in books, love it. Heavy-handedly done, not really my favorite. But that's just me. Everybody has their own opinion and their own tastes. So again, take everything I say with a grain of salt and read what you want to read. I just wish the characters had been mature enough to seem like 50-year-olds was my main gripe, because the age was like, the higher age was a big part of the appeal of this book to me, and then they were acting like 20-year-olds anyway. So that's just my opinion. Again, I still gave it 3 stars. It was fine. I didn't have it, like, there was nothing wrong with it. It just didn't end up being my favorite. And the last book that I finished in January was Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I gave this one 4 stars as well. It's kind of a low 4, maybe a high 3 for me. It was a good story. I can't really explain it. That seems to be a trend for me. So we're following Fitz, and Fitz is the bastard son of a prince, and he is taken in by some people to become an assassin for the king. I think this book, considering you're following a kid when he's like 6 to like maybe 16 years old, the writing makes sense, but it just seemed very juvenile. Again, I know I'm talking about, like, we're reading from a 6-year-old's perspective, but I think that's also a problem that I had with this book. As it turns out, I don't think I'm particularly in love with first-person epic fantasy. Something about the writing just seemed weird to me, and I'm pretty sure that's what I figured it was. First person for epic fantasy just seems weird. I feel like I'm missing a lot of the scope of what's going on when you're only hearing from this one character. And when that character happens to be 6 years old, like, I don't know. It wasn't my favorite. I have since continued with the series, so it wasn't enough to like turn me off of it or anything. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars, but it's a really big world, and I just don't know if I'm gonna end up committing to reading the entire Realm of the Elderling series, but I'm willing to give it a shot. I just don't know how far I'm gonna get with the first person perspective. If you've read The Realm of the Elderlings, let me know. Like, are they all in first person or does that switch up? Like, I don't know. Because I feel like that was the main gripe that I had with it, that kept kind of taking me out of the story. So, yeah, I don't really have much else to say about that. Again, it's the first book in a really long series, so we'll see how it goes from here. But okay, I think that's it. I didn't do too bad for time, I don't think. Those are the 7 books that I read in the month of January. I will come back to you with another wrap up to talk about February, hopefully before it's time to do a wrap up for March, but I can't make any promises. So that is it for me today. Let me know if you have read any books that you absolutely loved so far this year. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, Goodreads, and I think I'm going to add Storygraph down there. All the links to that stuff will be in the description. I don't normally say that, but just in case you're interested, and if you want to keep up with my reading in more real time. Why would anyone want to keep up with what I'm reading in real time? That was kind of a stupid thing to say. But if you're interested in what I'm reading in real time, I'm always updating Storygraph and Goodreads. I was planning on getting rid of Goodreads, but I've had Goodreads since 2010, so I'm having a hard time letting go, even though I like Storygraph better. But yeah, anyway, I will link all that stuff down below for you if you want to check any of it out. I don't upload to my Bookstagram very often, but I am trying to get better at it. So if you want to follow me there, you can. But that is going to do it for me today. I hope you are having a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!